Oi, oi, oi. Now they can hear me. Guys, if you have a question, unmute yourself. If you don't, please mute yourself. Otherwise, we're listening to your private conversations, please. Okay. And everybody in Bellville hears you too. Is there a question? Yes. Right. The intention of marketers is primarily to satisfy the needs of the customers. So part of the efforts, and we'll progress through it gradually as we do chapter by chapter, we'll see that you have to identify as accurately as possible what those needs are. Otherwise, you're going to end up producing something that nobody wants. Okay, one of my lecturers at Varsity way back in the 1980s, I think it was my second year business management lecturer, said to me, often people are encouraged to, when they entrepreneurs are looking for opportunities, they are encouraged to say, well, find a gap in the market. Yes, that's where everything starts. But more importantly, you need to find a market in the gap as well, because there can be, you could actually have a right product, but you're pitching it at the wrong people. You could actually have the wrong product that you're pitching at the right people. So to find that balance is what the whole function of marketing is about, to inform the customer, to hopefully through very clever and creative methods of advertising combined with social media posts and maybe even personal selling and good public relations from the company, you are trying to persuade the customers to rather buy from you than one of your competitors, and that product has value for them, that it actually satisfies the need that they have. Because, I mean, there's nothing that I hate more is somebody that's trying to sell me something that I don't want. Like, for instance, you've been in the desert for 3 days, nothing to eat and drink. I think I can assume that we are hungry or thirsty, right? If you come up to me with the latest iPhone and say, yeah, you can have this, it's not of as much value to you at that point as maybe a cheeseburger and a Coke would have been. Okay, so the circumstances in which the consumer find themselves plays a very important part in as well. But part of what the marketing function is to create that environment by offering. Justine has joined us as well. To create that environment and inform the customer through proper communication. But the prime objective remains still that you have to satisfy the needs of the customer. Right, there's a couple of definitions, quite frankly. You can read through the definitions. I think we're beyond this point where I'm going to ask you a question to test your knowledge on. Well, give me 3 definitions of marketing. Oh, jeez. Maybe it would have been a question. It could have been a question. It's something that when we actually still sit down for exams, but now that everything's online, you'll Google it and you'll have five definitions just like that. So what am I really testing? Your ability to Google and find all I am recording this. Thank you very much. Yes. Or am I trying to assess that you understand the concept? So gradually you'll see over the next 3 years, there will be more application as we go along. Not just expecting you to give us feedback on what's in the textbook. I know what's in the textbook. You know what's in the textbook. I want to know if you can actually apply it. Which textbook applied to this module? That will be this. Ooh. This would be this one, this yellow one. Who got it? Who hasn't got it? Okay, this is the one that we're using. We used it for the first time last year. It's rather comprehensive. I think if it's a very valid question as part of the introduction session, because we are just in general talking about it, and I'm not going to go into too much detail on the subject itself, but just giving you an overview, and then we'll get into more detail as we unbundle the whole process of what makes you better marketers, hopefully, or future marketers. That's the manual, or the textbook, the prescribed textbook. There's another one by Stratum that the certificate students use that I will upload it as additional resource that you can use. I think I did upload it as additional resource that you can use on Canvas. It's just another book. It's pitched on a slightly lower level. Again, confirming what I've told you so far is that the basic principles are the same. Regardless if you're doing digital marketing, if you're doing traditional marketing, whatever level of marketing, the 4 P's of marketing have been the same since you first heard about them in, consumer studies? What at school? Consumer studies and business studies, yeah. Why do you always have, why is it that accounting papers and business study papers, there's always a time issue? They've changed it. They split it in 2 papers now, right? Yeah, it's about time. My son was 1 year too late, and his business studies marks weren't great, and that was his main concern. Is now it's 2 papers. Oh, that would have. Yeah, it's a lot of work, I think, to cover, but anyway, to get back to the topic, that's a prescribed textbook. Then obviously, if you've navigated yourself through Canvas already. On this particular module page, you'll see that in every single week, we've got the objectives for the week. What are we going to cover? You have your resources, which would be reference to the textbook, as well as all the slides that you see and will see is already uploaded in each of those weeks for the entire program. And then obviously recorded sessions like this. And then also what I'm going to do later on, I said to some of the students, when we went into hard lockdown last year, it was one day this, tomorrow what are we going to do? So I have to again compliment the management of Prestige Combined Study at that stage, that we continued our program for the year and we stuck to our original timetable. We finished. And our semester 1 and semester 2, our daily program, well, it was online during hard lockdown, but it actually was completed in a time that was intended, regardless of the pandemic. And we were required to also then do pre-recorded sessions. Okay, so they weren't initially. There were still Zoom sessions, but they were limited sessions. But the students could also then see the slides with sound. Okay, so I'm going to upload those. The entire course is not done in that fashion, but sort of from chapter 6 onwards, I think we did everything in the recorded version as well. So I'll upload that as an additional resource. It's a duplication again, and as I said at the start, everybody learns at different tempos and in different ways. Some people, I know for me, there was always a textbook for all the subjects I did when I still studied. I never studied from the textbook. Remember, those were the days before PowerPoint, right? We were still on these projectors and your transparency. Oh my goodness. Thank goodness that's done. But it actually was also fun because you can quickly just wipe it out and change it if it was necessary. But the fact is, everybody learns in a different way and use their different notes, compile notes. I know one of the very few things that I can remember that my dad taught me. He taught me a lot of things, and I'm pretty sure your parents as well. But there's a few things that you remember. The one thing I did remember is when he dropped me off at varsity, he said, make sure that you make friends with a female student in class who has a beautiful handwriting. because you can copy those notes. So yeah, you can use that method if you want to, but the fact is, the slides in itself could be sufficient for some. Others might want to maybe do a combination of your textbook and your slides in the form of your own notes, regardless what you use and what method you use. I'm convinced that the slides are sufficient, but they but also it's not recommended that you only study the slides, because there's only so much information that you can put on a slide. Okay. Any questions at this point regarding the learning process itself? Okay, you're going to be the assessment. Have you studied have you gone through the assessment guide on your oh, I get a U. Yes. No. Okay. I'm not going to bring it up. Excuse me.
Mag ons die 5de edisie ook gebruik, want ek het hom. Ek het nou nie die 6de een nie, of gaan dit 'n probleem wees?
In my ervaring, ek self sal gaan kyk en vir jou meer 'n definitiewe antwoord kan gee, maar op hierdie stadium behoort dit nie 'n probleem te wees nie. In my ervaring is gewoonlik 'n 5de en 'n 6de uitgawe is gewoonlik net jou case studies wat aangepas is, maar die konteks self bly die inhoud bly gewoonlik dieselfde. Ek sal net gaan Google en ek sal die 5de uitgawes kry of nee, laat ek sommer net na klas gou vinnig na die bib toe gaan hierso en vir ons bibliotekaresse net gou ek sal net gou vinnig deur die 5de weergawe blaai om te kyk of dit reg is, maar ek glo net sal 'n probleem wees nie.
Okay, dankie meneer.
Alles reg. Of course. So in the study guides it says, and that's quite, you want to know what you're going to be assessed on and what the weighting is of each of your tests and exams. Okay, what's going to happen over the next period or for the duration of this module? We're going to assess you in a form of regular self-assessments, class tests that you do online, it's a quiz on Canvas. I think I've spaced it out that there's 4. Okay, you can almost say after every 3rd chapter, you're going to have a class test. It's already it's on Canvas already, but it's not available to you yet. You won't see it on your page because the date of availability is still in the future. That carries 10% of your total mark for the year. Okay, so it's a small percentage. If you get 10 out of 40 for a class test, it's not going to impact on your year mark as much because all 4 of those together count for 10% of your mark. Okay, then you have your term test that you write, and you also have an assignment which we'll brief you on tomorrow. Okay, the 3 combined, your class tests, your formal test, as well as your assignment, they together make up 40% of your year mark. And your final exam in June counts to the other 60. Okay. You have to get 50 for your exam. Doesn't matter what your mark is. Your final exam that you write in June, you have to get 50. Otherwise, you get a supplementary. Okay. It's best to rather do that, pass it the first time. Okay. I have experience through last year that students' marks did marginally improve from a sit-down exam to an online exam. Initially, the marks were high because as lecturers, we're trying to find the balance as to how to structure the questions, that everything is not from the manual, or that you can just run back to your manual or have your manual next to you and say, all right, I'll basically just, that's the answer. And then the marks could be very high. So I think after a year in lockdown, we found the balance between how much you can get from the manual and how much you have to apply, which you won't find in the manual itself, to ensure that the assessment is done in a more fair manner. Because we're not assessing you on the content of the manual. I mean, otherwise I said, why are you here? You could stay at home and you can read the manual and just do the exam or the test whenever the date is due. So that is in a nutshell what's in the assessment guide. The assessment guide that's on your overview page on your course or your module structure or schedule, sorry, will also give you an indication class test 1 on which subjects. That's something I will repeat in class as well, obviously. But maybe you missed a session. Maybe your lecturer was an idiot like me and he forgot to record the session. So you can't go back and listen to it again. Maybe there's a number of other reasons why you actually missed the information. I will post announcements about exams and tests and stuff like that and assignments, but I'm not going to do it on class tests. Okay, but if there's anything or any doubt as to what is covered in a particular for a particular assessment, be it formal, be it your summative exam, be it an assignment, you'll find it in the assessment guide. Okay, it tells you class test 1, chapter so and so and so, class test 2, chapter so and so, formal test, these chapters. Okay, in the you'll see that on your module schedule as well. There's a revision. This marked revision before a formal test, before a summative exam. The revision is done. Okay, so I've uploaded on Canvas. Let's say, for instance, you're writing your formal test in the first week in May, for instance. I'm just spitballing. And it's on chapters 1, 2, 3, 6, and 7. You'll find that on each week that we cover those particular chapters, it's uploaded. The slides are uploaded on Canvas. But in that revision week, just to prevent or to avoid having to go back to each week and find those, you'll find that all those that you write on is also posted in that week. Okay, so when we get to that period where you do a revision, all the chapters that we will cover in the test is already in that 1 week. Okay, just makes it easier to navigate. Okay, how do you find Canvas so far? Who's worked on Canvas before until they got the training last week? Nobody. Same year, but not last week. Before our second and third years arrived. Okay, I was fortunate I could actually spend 3 days lying on my back with my leg in the air after operation, so I can actually play around on the computer. But yeah, and we got a lot of training as well. So ask questions if you don't know how to navigate yourself through Canvas, because it's, as I said, it was as new to us a couple of months ago as it probably is to many of you now. I do love it because it's also, and Zoom as opposed to Teams, it has its benefit as well. Both of them are great. The time restriction where after 40 minutes you cut out and you have to restart the session or join the session again was a limitation for Zoom. Here as well, immediately with on Teams, the attendance register at the end of the day you can download, so you don't actually have to spend time taking attendance every time, and that's quite nice. So there are benefits both ways. Regardless, this is the platform that we're using, and please, if there are any problems, I had a problem now with the assignment that is due later in the week. We could figure it out. Our technical staff were also hands in the air. Support. Canvas support. You can ask the questions. There's somebody there that immediately in the chat answers your question. Okay, right. So also use that function. It's also available on Canvas if you have any problems. Okay, where are we now for time? We should be finished by 10:25. We've got 12 more minutes to go. Oh my goodness, how are you going to pass the time? You think we need to write a class test or something? Just to get everybody going, just to get the creative juices flowing? Nah. I'm not that type. I'm not that type. I never get mad. I just get even. Yes. Not really. You'll find that as we progress through the 3 years, that you'll probably eventually in your 3rd year find more essays as a question format. You'll probably find anything 2, 4, 6, maybe 20 marks. If 20 marks would probably be something where you're expected to name 5 items and explain those 5 items and then provide an example for each of those 5 items. That could very easily be a 15-mark question. But that's the kind of nature of and then obviously case studies. We provide you with a case study. It won't be something. The content will be obviously, because you can't include a link, for instance, in the exam paper, because yeah, you can understand why not. But the case studies content will include, for instance, in the quiz, online quiz, and from that you can also then be expected to answer certain questions related to the relevant chapters that is being assessed. Okay, but no, I'm not going to say, right, it's a 100-mark question, it's a 100-mark paper. Question 1, like history at school, question 1 is more sort of resource-based questions and shorter questions, and then we have got a essay section. No, that's not the format I prefer. I prefer rather to use shorter questions and more sort of applied and related to case studies, to see if basically you understand the concept. Okay. Any other questions regarding the assessments and the format of assessment? Okay, we'll do a proper briefing on the assignment tomorrow. Although it's not really, I'm not going to go through every single question. We'll address it as we progress as well. We'll review it on a weekly basis when we finish a certain section. I will be able to tell you, after you've completed this section, you will be able to complete this question or these questions in the assignment already. And we're going to do 1 assignment. Last year we did 2 assignments. I just felt that the time between your formal test and your summative exam is a shorter period. So people start focusing on preparing themselves for the exam, and then the quality of the work in your second assignment is not great. And therefore, I'd much rather you'll see that your assignment is stretched over the entire duration of the course, although some of the work is already completed in the first 2 weeks. It's up to you to actually to avoid from that bottleneck happening right in an exam week, and getting your anxiety levels through the roof. It's probably I probably recommend that you, as you progress through the course, if you can complete a question and assignment, you can just save it anyway, and then upload it in June when the assignment is due. I think the assignment was structured like that as well, to do it in certain parts, and then we realized that it's going to be difficult for the marking if I ask you to submit section A in 2 weeks' time, and section B in 4 weeks' time, and section C maybe in 6 weeks' time. That was one of the challenges that I've had this week, and it hasn't been resolved yet. We are still, as I said, we are also still getting to know the whole process. So it's much rather there will be different one submission date, but there will be different target dates to work towards to complete smaller portions of your assignment. Okay. Marketing, as we said, there are definitions that but I'm not going to focus on that. I'm going to just finish the chapter with the following, and that is to look at, and we said from the start that your main purpose for marketers is to satisfy the customer. Why do you want to satisfy the customer? You as a customer, why would you be? Are you going to buy something because if you buy it, it makes you unhappy? No, you buy it because it will make you happy, or happier than you are. Okay, so why do you want to satisfy the customer's needs? Yes, you want him to come back. Yes, you want him to come back. That's called the consumer retention. You want the client to return, and they will return when? And why? Yes, but why not go to somewhere else? Because I satisfied their needs sufficiently, and I have maybe offered a proper service, quality service that added value to their whole experience. And then eventually, when you retain that customer and they come back and they buy from you again, if you continue to deliver at that level, they'll become loyal. They'll become loyal, and that's what you want, because that 80-20 rule, 20% of the customers are responsible for 80% of the turnover. Okay, you want that 20%. You want that 20% very happy, because they're going to contribute 80% towards your company's turnover. That's so sad, and that's a common mistake that a lot of businesses make. They focus on the 20% and only on the 20%. Virgin Active, I've used as an example before as well. 20% of the people who have Virgin Active membership are loyal supporters. They do the morning spin class. They have a lunch session. People who are at the gym every day of the week. Loyal. That's the loyal 20%. You don't have to worry about them. They will be, if you change your membership fees, if you change to a different location, they will move wherever you go because they're loyal. Unfortunately, too much effort is only focused on that 20%. The other 80% who should actually be coming to the gym are the ones that's neglected. Yeah, and you can probably argue that, well, it's easier to satisfy these 20% because they're here all the time. But not enough effort goes into actually getting those other 80%. And by the way, I mean, it's actually, it's bad numbers. But I think more than 350,000 people actually terminated their memberships after, when that option was given to them after COVID, after the gyms reopened. That's a lot of clients to lose. But still, there's a huge market out there that train. I found that I trained harder during lockdown because I didn't have to spend time in traffic to go to the gym, find parking, and then get undressed. And then a 1 hour workout becomes a 2 hour excursion. Now at home, when you work, and obviously during lockdown, we spend a lot of time in front of our computers. I sort of got into routine or set myself a routine of working for an hour, taking a 15-minute break. Now, during that 15-minute break, I started training. So I actually ended up training 5 times during the day, and even more sometimes in shorter stints. And it was more effective because I knew, boom. And that's, sometimes, when it's an hour training session at the gym, you take your time and you're not as productive. If you're working in shorter sessions, it actually is more productive. As a matter of fact, it's something at my previous college we did a lot of work for the rugby sevens in Stellenbosch because our college was based in Stellenbosch, and they have a 7-minute rule. It's sevens rugby. They train, and all their training sessions are structured in 7-minute sessions. They push themselves in the red for 7 minutes, and then they break. And then they do it again for 7 minutes, and they break. Their meetings are exactly the same. Have you heard about meetings that go, no, it's just like that. Okay, if we're not finished, then we'll have another session. Because then everybody's involved, because you know that it's going to be quick, and you want to contribute. But if you know, no, this class is an hour or whatever, I wish we can actually try something like this. Yeah, but we'll see. There's always opportunities throughout the semester for us to reshuffle things. I like doing that. Okay. But, keeping the customer satisfied is one of the main purposes of a business. If we look at that next slide, you'll see there's an image of what we call this confirmation paradigm. Now, basically, it's quite simple. On the left-hand side, if you perform your performance, that's the P, and your expectations from the customer, that's the E. If you compare the two, how you perform as a business and what the customer actually expected would happen. If you perform better than they've expected, they'll be very, very satisfied. That's the left-hand side. On the right-hand side, you said you're going to do this, but you only did this. They're not going to be very happy. Okay, that's why it's important. A dissatisfied customer is not going to go back to that shop. and say, oh, maybe it was an off day. No. You know what? The best thing is that any business wants is they want a complaining customer. You go to the restaurant. You go to a restaurant. Okay, taking the family out for a meal. You get your food. It's not what you ordered. There are two ways that customers react in a situation like that. Okay. A, keep quiet. Finish your food. It's not what you want. That's fine. But you don't go back to that restaurant again. That's the customer that you don't want because you don't know what you did wrong. The customer who throws his toys, I want to see the chef, the manager, everybody, the owners. Where's the shareholders? I want to see everybody. I'm not happy with this place. That's the customer I want because he's telling me exactly what's wrong. I ordered a medium rare. You gave me a well done. Now I know where I have to fix the problem. I've got to jump down the chef's throat. He messed it up. Not the plate didn't wait. It's not the waiter's fault. Food was done and food wasn't cold. The meat wasn't done properly according to what I expected. That's the customer that I want because that customer is telling me what's wrong and where I can fix it. Unfortunately, our businesses who don't know how to fix it and don't fix it. That's even worse. But anyway, the secret in sustaining a business, growing a business, being profitable, and remaining in business is customer service, is satisfying the needs of the customer, knowing what they want, giving them what they want, giving it in a way that they are very happy with, and there's all smiles. Any questions? Anybody fine? Centurion? Anybody else online? Belleville students who are at home? Any questions? Your silence actually answers that for me. We continue the session tomorrow, second period again. Remember, second period on the Friday is a different time. It's not 9:25, it's 9:10. No, 9:10, yes. It's a bit earlier because the periods are shorter on a Friday. No, it's not. It's not the second period. You guys are the third and the fourth period, sorry. On that subject, and also for the Centurion students before we sign off, because we have a double period, there's usually a break between the two periods. Would you prefer, who's got fifth period tomorrow? Any classes on the fifth period tomorrow? Do we finish with the fourth? Right, in that case, it's even better. Let's rather take smaller breaks. I'll just stop the recording. You can quickly go to the toilet, get yourself a drink or something like that. And let's rather finish earlier. We still get the same time in that we're supposed to, but we don't take the break between the classes itself. Okay, then you can knock off a bit 20 minutes earlier, and I think that's always a good deal on a Friday, right? Okay, but only if I have your consent and everybody's happy with that. Good. Thanks very much. We'll chat again tomorrow. See you third period.